All right, so I just turned it on. Jerry, you just asked a great question, which I wanted to capture because we did talk about this recently. We had like kind of a quiz event activity that had happened at one of our last meetings, but I think you got a great question here.
That's right. And no one knew the answer to it. They all got it wrong. So there was a quiz. We were trying to teach people a little bit about the history, and then nobody had basically, or somebody had asked, what is the earliest job board on the internet? And I got to tell you, there's only one that has preceded the internet and was a bulletin board. And then, of course, most people in the room had no idea what a bulletin board kind of thing was. But DICE was out there as a bulletin board. So you had to use your computer on a phone that you would connect to a server that DICE operated to basically show people jobs. And I don't think it was the first bulletin board job board, but it's the only one that transitioned into the internet and still exists today. In obviously a very different form, but still fascinating.
Yeah. It's a little bit of history, a tidbit of history that I don't think anybody knew. And I think it's kind of funny that now Jerry, I get it. Like 10 years ago, we started working together pretty closely. And it was like, people would ask a question and Jerry would go, oh, geez, I'm starting to feel a little older than everybody in the room. And so now here we are 10 years later, people are starting to ask questions and I can go, I was there for that. I remember, oh, geez, I'm starting to feel a little older.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. Well, Victoria, are you ready to, we can get started?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, here we go.
CXR Channel, our premier podcast for talent acquisition and talent management. Listen in as the CXR community discusses a wide range of topics focused on attracting, engaging, and retaining the best talent. We're glad you're here.
All right, I'm excited to be here today. Welcome to the Recruiting Community Podcast. We do weekly insights and updates in the form of casual conversation. My name is Ben, and my partner in crime today is Jerry. It's Jerry. Ben and Jerry.
Ah. I like
Super
that
easy.
idea. That's good.
Yeah, of course. How are you this morning, Jerry? I have not talked to you since you got back from the breakfast concert.
I'm still processing the breakfast concert, good old Wreckfest. And yes, it is one of the more unique venues that recruiters can go to. And I do think that the openness of that venue contributes, I think, to recruiters having a ball. They have a good time.
I'm sure it does. Yeah. Congrats to Jamie. I've heard nothing but good stuff so far coming out of there, and dodged the weather, got super lucky with that. And I think, but they were prepared anyway, from what I hear. So just congrats to that whole crew that it takes to put that on. It's good stuff.
Interesting. Fascinating.
Yeah. Good. Thanks. All right. So, joining today, we have with us Victoria Kortan. She's an experienced machine learning engineer. She is a leader in building an AI center for excellence. And she's going to talk to us about navigating the AI boom. I love that phrase. The impact on her career and how she's really pushing for growth by supporting upskilling opportunities, collaboration on her teams, and then independent projects within those organizations. So that's a mouthful, but there's a lot to talk to her about today. So I'm excited about that. A couple things first, though. For everybody who has dialed in, we're streaming on the YouTube, the Facebook, the LinkedIn, and the Twitch. Future episodes can be found at CXR/podcast. If you happen to be on LinkedIn with us live today, say hello in the chat. And don't forget, we're bringing dad jokes. We're bringing dad jokes every day. So if you've got a dad joke, you want to drop them in the chat, we're anxious to hear it. If you can get a dad joke that's on topic today, that's even better. And then lastly, I'm going to say, look, this is an ad-free labor of love. Jerry, how much did our guest pay to be here today?
Nothing.
You're not helping my credibility here, man.
Our guests don't pay.
They don't pay to be here. It's a labor of love. The only thing I'll give you from a housekeeping standpoint is if you have not already, check out the CXR marketplace. It's at cxr.work/marketplace. It was designed and has been built in collaboration with we have almost 6,000 members that sit within that community, members and alumni who have asked for an iteration of this and 2 years really have built it out. And just recently in the recent months sort of opened up the ability to add to the over 7,000 ratings that are already in there, ratings and reviews for, I think we're at over 400 vendors that sit in there. It's specifically TA focused, but some really cool stuff in there. But we have opened it up now so that non-CXR members can become part of that. So you can drop ratings in. And if you're looking to filter by verified CXR members and just the total ratings, you can do that now as well. Good stuff. Yeah. CXR.work/marketplace.
Yeah. Shout out to Ron Thomas calling in from Vienna. He's usually in the Middle East somewhere doing some good work. So just wanted to say hi.
Yeah, there we go. Ron, we'll throw you up on the screen. Hello, Ron. Thanks for dialing in. All right, we are going to have a lot of fun today. I want to let's go ahead and welcome in our guest today. I'll pull her out of the green room. Victoria. See if we can, there you are. Let's put you get the big screen. There you are. How are you?
I'm good. It's a nice day.
Oh, it is. And where do you sit, Victoria? Where are you at?
I am currently just south of Denver at one of our offices. I live close by, so it's quite easy to pop into work.
Oh, that's great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, really quickly, for those who have not met you, and I have your link, I'm cheating. I have your LinkedIn profile up. You're senior machine learning engineer. I'm going to take the highlights away over at DHI Group. You've been there for just over a year. Prior to that, you were at Pearson for 6 years. You've been a data science fellow at Galvanize as well, going all the way back to 2016. So you've been in this space for quite some time. You've got your chops. You got plenty to bring. But look, for those who just jumped in, Victoria, why don't you give us a escalator pitch on who is Victoria Kortan and why should we be listening to what you have to say today?
Yeah. So professionally, I've been in this world for a while, and I've picked up a lot of the different pieces. And I would say more than just a machine learning engineer, it's learning about how that works within the wider business. Because I can go out and make a model, and that's really cool, but actually getting it to be useful and applied in the business is quite challenging. So there's lots of different things you pick up over the years, whether it be fancy models or how to work with people and get your things out there so people can see them. So yeah, unprofessionally, I'm a mom. I play Frisbee. That's what I like to do.
Is it just Frisbee, or do you play Frisbee golf?
Well, I play ultimate Frisbee technically, but I just call it Frisbee, which is probably wrong.
Is it ultimate because you're carrying wine, or how does it work? Why is it ultimate?
Sometimes
All the
I
real
carry
questions today.
but not always. Depends on how competitive the game is. It's like a cross between like football, soccer, and Frisbee kind of. You score in end zones. You can't run with the Frisbee. You have to throw it. Yeah.
Okay. It's intense. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right. Good stuff. Well, as I mentioned earlier, we've got dad jokes. So I think it's important that before we kind of jump into the topic, maybe we start with our dad joke. I want to remind you, if you happen to be listening or watching us or doing whatever, or you're on the LinkedIn chat, you can drop a dad joke in there. We'll see if we can throw it up on the screen. Keep it family friendly. Do either of you want to go first? I have two today.
I have two. I'll go first. I'll set the bar for you guys.
All right. Here we go.
They're on the pirate theme. Okay, first one is, where do pirates keep their armies?
In a war chest?
In their, I can't figure out which way, in their sleeveys. Armies.
Oh, their army. That is groan worthy.
All All right, one more. Where do pirates buy their hooks?
I don't know.
At the secondhand store.
Hand store.
Oh no. No.
Bad.
All right, Jerry, did you bring an AI joke for us today?
I brought one, yes, and it's relevant because it's mathematical.
Oh, okay.
So,
Math.
so why is 10 plus 10 the same as 11 plus 11?
Why?
Because 10 plus 10 is 20, and 11 plus 11 is 22.
Oh, jeez.
I like that. Yeah.
That's pretty good. We'll let that fly. That will not get edited. It's fine. All right. So how about what do you get when you cross a robot with a tractor? You get a trans farmer.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Okay. Last one for me. I've got, what do AI engineers do at lunchtime? They grab a bite. Bite. BY.
Oh,
Bite.
oh,
that was bad.
I don't
yeah.
know if
You don't
this
have
dad
to
joke.
explain.
I don't know if this dad joke thing's going to take off.
Good try.
All right. Well, we'll keep at it. We'll keep at it. Look, Victoria, I want to jump in. We set you up, really talk about kind of what things go on, AI boom, AI culture, upskilling, special projects. Let's jump right in because we try to keep these about 20 or 30 minutes or so. And I want to start with AI culture. So what's your take, you think, on what makes a great AI culture? What do you think are the must-haves for something like that to work at somebody's organization?
Yeah. So the first thing, I think, when a lot of people hear AI, especially with all the new stuff coming out, there's a lot of fear and trepidation involved with that whole subject matter. And I think the first thing you want to set up is you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You don't have to feel like you know it all to use it, to ask about it, to question it, to think about it. So setting up that it's not, only the elite get to touch it. We don't want that feeling. We want everybody to feel able to approach the subject, talk about it, think about it, use it. So that's the first thing. I think the second thing is really giving people the tools to learn, and whether that be, internal sourcing of people in your org that can talk about it, or tutorials, or just the resources to go out and try it if they want to. So that's kind of the culture. I think the last really important thing is to sort of be respectful and mindful of the things we have to think about. The bias. Is this machine learning thing or algorithm doing good for the world? Is it doing bad for the world? What's the data trained on? Asking some of those questions around responsible AI, and the effect that it's having on all of us.
Yeah, it's interesting. So when I hear someone talk about points like that, like access to the new tech. So Jerry, you're going to laugh because this kind of resonates with what we were saying on the pre-show piece. That little snippet there is that in my journey, it seems to me we've had three points where we tried to lock up access from practitioners and doers. Email was a really big one, super early in my career, in that not everybody at the organization got an email address, right? So maybe Jared remembers, but when the companies first started doing emails, like only some level got an email address, and the field, even in some orgs, fields don't need address, right? But some orgs were just totally locked down.
Yep. And I could tell you that in 1996, when I gave one of my first presentations at SHRM, I asked the audience of nearly 1,000 people, how many of you have an email address? And only a quarter of them raised their hand. Yeah. So it's not everybody had it.
Yeah. So it's a wild one. So Victoria's like, what? So there's that. And then the second was social media, in my opinion. So the second was social media came out, and not everybody was allowed to have access to that. We kept it locked up. You had, some may remember when they went to like Facebook, or they went to some other social media site, might have been Friendster at the time, I don't know. But when you had a pop-up on your screen that said, do you have a valid business reason to view this? And that is if you were at a progressive organization. That is it. You it didn't just lock it, and you had to put in your little business unit, and then maybe it unlocked it for that session. And then the third, I think, which is really interesting to me, is AI. And what I'm seeing with this, and I think it is because of obviously the adoption curve when it became conversational, but organizations are much more quickly realizing that just locking it up and kind of quarantining who gets access in these buckets doesn't work. And so that's my observation to that remark. I think it's fantastic that organizations saying get in and play and be present and have access. But it's been an interesting learning curve to watch for 30 years, where historically we've just not done that. Something new came along, it was scary, and we locked it up from everybody.
Right. Well, in each of those things too, there was okay, you can have access, but let's teach you how to critically think about what you're seeing, whether it be the emails, the phishing emails you're getting, or the crazy stuff on social media sometimes, and AI too. Like, let's teach you how to think about how you're using it, and then go forth and do.
I think that's an excellent call out, is that the training and the awareness has gotten better too, to help employees safely adopt it. Sorry, Jerry, go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't have the tools or understand what the tools look like, you have some issues. And with all of the ones that you mentioned, Chris, there's a different set of tools that you have to deal with. In the first, with email, you really had to have access to the internet through a computer. And most professionals still hadn't bought their own personal computer. And so when we were first teaching how to find people on the internet to recruiters, we literally had to show them how to turn a computer on, which, you don't think about today. So and I think now that you see all these new versions of AI coming out, there's going to be a little bit of a lag time while we get accustomed to exactly where do you go and how do you embrace it, and et cetera. I'm seeing the new phones coming out are asking if you would like this updated version of an assistant to be constantly present or not when you're doing whatever you're doing, so it can talk to you. And I'll bet a lot of people turn that feature off for quite a while.
I almost bought a Pixel Fold last night. I was sitting around and I was so close, and I was looking at the stats, and I'm a really old one. So I'm looking at it, and it does, Jerry, it pops up and says, do you want a year of unlimited Super Gemini access? However they've got it rolled up. And I'm like, don't act like you're not always listening anyway. Don't act like my phone's not listening to me all the time. Now I'm a picture. I get a little robot that gets to, I admits that it's listening. Give me a break. I'll probably sign for it.
Well, I think we should do two.
Oh, I'll bet you do. Yeah. So look, Victoria, that takes us to kind of this topic. Really, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense taking us into this AI boom, right? So this just rocket ship that we're on. So how has this sort of touched your career, right? Do you have tricks that maybe you've sort of picked up to sort of keep up with that fast pace? Because I feel like exponentially, it just, to Jerry's point, there's another slew of AIs or GPTs or, these programs. Like, how do you stay up to date? Do you have any tips or tricks?
Yeah, I think that's really tricky. I oftentimes, at night when you're scrolling through your news feed, I'll get the new things that are popping out. I'm like, wow, someday I should read that. So I email it to myself, and it sits in my inbox for years. And, I think it depends on how much time you have to some extent. I have 3 small kids. I got 2 dogs, 2 cats, a life. There is not extra time outside of work to do that. So I will say I'm struggling with keeping up. It's fun that at work, I get the opportunity to talk with my colleagues about the new stuff that's coming out. So we sort of crowdsource who saw what's the new thing that maybe we should pay attention to. So that's a nice opportunity. But I think to do better, I would just actually dedicate some time to learning every week, specifically about the new stuff that's coming out. But most of what I get is through, news feeds on, the quick headline on what the new thing is.
Yeah, I think there are also quite a few tips. We had some in our community forum. Someone had brought up too, and a few examples. And Jerry, you may remember this in more detail. Email summaries. So using these built-in AIs to sort of give you these email summaries, so you can say, of all my unread business-related AI-specific content in my email, give me a summary of what's happening. That kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think email is a really great way to do that. But I love the idea of if you happen to be fortunate enough to be in an office or a location where you get to collaborate like that, people get to meet together in person and kind of throw everything against the wall.
And you certainly raised one of those issues, this whole idea of how you speak to it in a sense of prompts, and then iterative prompts to continue to get more accuracy in terms of the quality of the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
I think is a real learning opportunity for all of us, because it does require a slightly different mindset in order to deal with it.
Yeah, it's fascinating. You can be a prompt engineer and learn how to make prompts, but it turns out understanding a little bit of how the model works will get you a lot further. So there's an interesting scale there of, if you kind of know what the model's doing and the data it was trained on, it can help you a little bit with your prompting. But anybody can do prompt engineering. There are lots of good tutorials and blogs out there to sort of get a head start on making your things more effective.
Yeah, I have found.
There's a masterclass.
Yeah. Well, I have played with Copilot and
Nice.
GPT primarily, pretty extensively. I much favor Chat GPT. I feel like I get way more usefulness out of it. I feel like the answers are a little better, but I have to tell you, and somebody else created this analogy at one of our meetings, which I'm really aligned with. I'd love to hear your take, Victoria, but it's like working with a shiny, new, eager intern who may not really know your company that well, who is not yet an expert, but has all the Google edits fingertips, at their fingertips. And sometimes they're going to give you some stuff that's a little batshit crazy. And I'm not talking full hallucinations. I think we're a little bit, for the most part, past that. But nuances where I have found a couple of times I can ask a question. I was trying to do a very complicated Excel sheet yesterday. I was using GPT to help build the formulas. Formula wasn't working. I explained what it wasn't working, and it said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Here, this will fix it." It gave me the exact same formula. Same thing, like 3-4 times. And finally, I just was a little nasty, and I'm like, "This is wasting my time. This is I don't know why I'm even typing this to you. I'm so frustrated." And then it said, "Well, try this," and it was the right formula. So, experimenting on us too. Is that just?
I mean, yes, I think they are. But yeah, it's fascinating. It's like a chat interface to the knowledge of the internet, right? So you're gonna get some good stuff and you're gonna get some crazy stuff, like you said. So finding that, figuring out that balance, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, then let's talk about the upskill piece, right? So, is there upskilling things that you've sort of set up for your team? Like, how do those help them sort of grow, but maybe on the job, maybe personally, but like from that standpoint? Because engineering those prompts, while it is pretty easy, they can get kind of complex, and some are way more effective than others.
Yeah, I think there's a couple, when we say AI professional, right, there are a couple of different things you can talk about. And we're mostly talking about people that use the output of the really big, fancy language models that are out there now. What I tend to do mostly is make my own models internally and get those, to be features or whatever. We do some of the other stuff too. So there's upskilling for my team, which is more of, what trainings can we go to? What is the company willing to send us to a conference? Are there workshops? Things like that, internal sort of paper clubs where we look at, the newer papers that are coming out and go through those. But for the wider company at large, which I think is more of what we're talking about, there's we put together this center of excellence, and I like to call it center of E cubed, which I know is a little complicated, but you have to have engagement and you have to have empowerment before you can have excellence. So really the first thing we wanted to do is help the company get engaged. Say, yes, it's okay. You can use these tools. You can start trying them. Here's how to think about them. And that's sort of the first bare minimum step of upskilling. Just like we said, giving people access and some basic tools to get there. And then from there, it's, you start to get into more smaller conversations with different groups around their use cases and say, okay, for what you want to do, here are some possible things that we could try. Here's what you should go explore on your own. And that's how we've sort of approached it here. I mean, I think everybody could go take a course if they wanted to. DHI is awesome at that. But that's internally how we've started to, kind of get the word out and give people help if they need it, or ideas, or kind of suss out where they are in the process.
Yeah, I love that. Well, you talk about getting the teams to sort of learn together and work together. Do you have a specific approach regarding promoting collaboration within the org, especially if maybe you've got some tricky AI projects in front of you?
Yeah, I think it's an ever evolving approach, because that's not an easy problem to solve, especially if you're a smaller company without, millions of dollars to throw at, super fancy AI teams. So we're trying to scale what we have and sort of be a place for resources, tooling, questions, guidance. If you have work that you can't do, maybe we can do it too. But that's always an interesting question with product priorities and all of the things, So we're trying to, with this center, we have basically all of our people with titles of AI engineer or machine learning engineer or data scientist all come together, and we invite anybody who wants to come can come. We talk about any problems that anybody has, any strategies, work that we're working on. I'm just trying to keep that conversation going and the door open. So I've had lots of people that I do not know reach out to me, and they're like, hey, can you help me? I'm like, yes, but first explain to me what you do at this company. And then maybe we could get
You need
there.
your own prompt. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, do the team members get to take on independent projects? I mean, do they get to, do you encourage them to kind of take their own time to do something maybe a little more solo, or does it all need to be on teams?
Yeah. So DHI, again, is very cool. We have an allotted amount of time we call innovation time, where everybody gets to do what they want, what they're interested in, what they think will be useful. Maybe it won't be useful. Maybe they just want to learn. And that time, actually, giving people a chance at that time has resulted in some very cool things that have turned out to be real projects that we do use, out there in our products. So yes, I think that piece is really important, especially if you want to maintain talent. You got to give them time to explore. And then, as far as, I think that transfers, so I'm in the engineering org, and I'm not sure how that transfers to other orgs. Like if someone in sales wanted to come up with a proof of concept for some AI thing, I'm not sure how that works out with their time, but we would definitely be there to facilitate and say, hey, do you need tools? Do you need help? Like, how can we, get this moving for you?
So that COE is sort of the support piece, right? Am I understanding that right? It's sort of the support channel for that work, so that each of the function departments aren't having to build their own model. They've got this group of, how many are in your COE sort of running that?
Yeah, so let's see. We're the AI people, we've got 5 maybe with the titles. So we're trying to scale ourselves across. So that it's expensive to have a data science machine learning team, and not every department can have that. So, figuring out how to scale ourselves and facilitate has been fun.
Yeah. And how long's the COE been around?
Let's see, maybe 6 months, I think. And we're still definitely finding our way. But we've had some good questions and some good engagement. So excited about it.
I love it. Well, if you had to make a prediction of and you don't get too specific, obviously there'll be some proprietary stuff in there, but if you had to make some sort of prediction of what type of content may come out of this, what would you say? That would it be support, or would it be customer support, or product support, or product innovation? Like, give a category in 6 months. I know it's early, but that's already kind of
what I'm hoping for, what I'm angling for, and who knows if everyone agrees with me, is that we can do some cool internal support functions, help our salespeople understand our customers a little bit better, get the right data in front of them. And then let's see, what's the other thing I'm really hopeful that we've kind of been working on in innovation time is some product features that might help with some of our search functionality. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that. Well, look, Victoria, we asked this question of everybody before they leave the show. If you were going to write a book today on this topic, what would the title of your book be?
That's a really good question. I think the thing I find the coolest about this field is you don't have to be smart, and everyone brings at different angles. So something like, you know enough to do crazy smart AI stuff. I might change the last word to be slightly inappropriate, but that's
Crap.
right.
Yeah, you can say crap on here. We're a family show. Yeah. Well, present company excluded. Victoria, who would you give your first signed copy of the book to?
Oh. I'd give it to my eldest daughter.
You would?
She's 10. Yeah. And I think that learning to embrace this early is going to really, and critically think about it. Let's not forget that. But yeah, I think it's a cool place to go, and it can accelerate your growth if you explore. Just explore.
I love that. Are the kids into the work that you take on? Do they love to hear about it?
Oh, no, not at all.
No matter how cool it is, your kids don't care.
Nope.
Oh my God, I love that. Well, look, I'll take us out. I had one backup dad joke. You guys ready for it? You want to try to give it a shot as we exit for the week?
Yeah. Okay.
Why was the chat bot cold at work? Why was the chat bot cold at work? It left its windows open.
Oh.
Oh, it's so bad. So bad. So bad. So bad it's good. It hurts. All right, Victoria, you've just been a wonderful guest. Thank you so much. I know you're super busy. We really appreciate your time and joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Good stuff. All right. Don't everybody forget, we do this every week. Well, unless we don't. We're on the road at HR Tech next week, so we won't do it then, but every other week we'll do that. cxr.org/podcast. You can catch all the past episodes, and you can see where we're going to be and where we'll be with whom next time. So, Victoria, thank you once again, and we'll see everybody next time. Thanks, folks.
Thanks for listening to the CXR channel. Please subscribe to CXR on your favorite podcast resource and leave us a review while you're at it. Learn more about CXR at our website, cxr.works, facebook.com and twitter.com/careercrossroads, and on Instagram @careerxroads. We'll catch you next time.